Okay, we'll just give people a couple of minutes to get connected and then we'll go ahead and start. Okay, aloha everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this next step session with Jan Sung. Before we get started with Jan's presentation, I'd just like to mention that we have a Next Steps program scheduled for May the 15th, and that will be Lahela Mayo of the Hula Preservation Society, who will be talking about some of their digitization efforts at the Hula Preservation Society. So I hope you can join us for that. And I also want to remind you about the HLA Spring Meeting, which is on May the 31st on Zoom. And I will momentarily put a link for that into the chat. So if people need to look at the announcement, they can do that. So now it is my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Jan Sung, who is a science and technology librarian at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa Library. Prior to joining the Science and Technology Department, she was the head of the Access Services Department at our library. She also served a short time as the head librarian at Windward Community College. She has a PhD from the University of Texas at Austin, and she also received her MLIS from the University of Texas at Austin. So please join me in welcoming Jan.
Okay, hi. So all of you, I think, know me, at least audience. I probably, and also Gwen gave a great introduction. So, but before I dive into the numbers, let's take a moment. But anyway, I'm going to share the Easy Proxy data. Easy Proxy is something that you go through to get into our online resources. So this is a system we identify who you are. So you have to do it whether you are on campus or off campus. So it gives us rich data. But before I dive into numbers, let's take a moment to go back to 2020. Do you remember where you were or what you were doing? I will start with a short personal story. Okay. So January 2020, probably we will all remember news about novel, highly infectious, and deadly virus was spreading rapidly. And at the end of January, without knowing much, we flew from Honolulu to Chuuk Island. And February 1st, 2020, I had a great chance to walk on Nepal, which I wanted to do for a long time. And February 7th, a few days later, as we departed the Pohnpei Island, all doors to the Micronesian islands were closing behind us. So we are at the airport and we are hearing the announcement that nobody can come into the Micronesian island. And we didn't really know at the time what the results will be. Then the COVID, of course, hit the campus and president announced closure of the campus, as well as all in-person classes moved to online courses. And the library opened the first floor for students, but since everybody has to take classes at home, there is no way they can get to the resources through, probably not physically. We did it a little bit, but mostly they have to come to us through online. We were busy learning Zoom. And so I went to several sessions. At first, my screenshot was like this. It was so bare. And I learned how to make background blur and putting this picture and where to look. So it actually opens the possibility that how we connect ourselves through these methods to our users. So University of Hawaii was founded in 1907, and it is Land, Sea, Sun, and Space Grant Institution. In 2023, we had over 14,000 students, undergrad students, and 32% Asian, 28% Caucasian, and 18% were native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders. And 58% of our students are from Hawaii, and 36% out of state, and 6% international students. Can anybody guess who is the largest Asian group, ethnic group among Asian students? It is the Filipinos, and followed by Japanese, Chinese, and on. So that's our students. So at Manoa, until spring break 2020, mostly in person, our classes. Then right after spring break, until the end of spring semester 2022, almost all online courses except some lab classes and stuff. And from fall 2022, it's a hybrid. Then, 2023 spring semester and on, in-person. The school encouraged in-person classes, but let's see what's happening right now. So it is showing student populations who takes only in-person classes. So back in the days, 2016, 84% of our students took only in-person classes. And it is dropping a little bit, but stayed there. And then 2020 fall, that COVID that year, 8% took only in-person classes. That's amazing. So there are some students took only online in-person classes. Then we out of COVID here. So right now, I don't know about this is the last year spring semester. So roughly half of our students took in-person only classes. Now, how about online only? So back in the day, 2016, only 4% of our students took online only classes. So it remained there. And during COVID, of course, it went up. And it came out here, still less than 10% of our students take only online classes. How about in between? So it is growing. And now, even after COVID, almost half of our students are taking at least one online classes. So if I add up this 44% of at least one online class plus a fully online class, we have a 52% of our students are taking at least one online course. So that's a shift. But during this time, the COVID, since we couldn't see our students, we were not sure they were really with us. So how can we know it? We don't know. But at least one thing we know, the library instruction statistics tells us something. So this is in-person attendance, and this is the number of sessions you provided. It is dropping. We have to see the next year, but so our in-person attendance, well, as our sessions drops. And during COVID, we gave a lot of online instructions and a lot of online attendance. So that how can we know what they do? Vendor provides us usage statistics, but it is quite limited. We do not know exactly which groups use them and when they are using and where they are using. So we have this rich data through the proxy. So to use our online sources, doesn't matter where you are on campus or off campus, you have to go through that authentication system. And some schools don't do this. So many schools actually, when users are on campus, they don't have to go through this process. So they don't have this data that I'm going to share with you. So we are very lucky to know our users' page through this. So easy proxy entry data. Actually, easy proxy is something you go in. Once you go in, it logs everything, all your behaviors. So it's a humongous data. But I only looked at the entry data. Back in 2017, I learned about easy proxy data. So I asked, and Wing, our great supporter, Wing gave that data, and I analyzed it. And then I asked more through 2018 through 21 and analyzed it. And I asked more 22 and 23. This is because I wanted to see what's happening during the COVID. So once you log in, it logs the timestamp. The timestamp looks like that. Not that useful for me. So I asked someone to convert to year only, month only, hour only, so I can see them. And it gives us the group information. That's all I wanted to know, not the individual activities. And then IP addresses gives us on or off campus information and URL. And of course, it's very important to see what resources they are using. And again, this is entry points. So beyond that, they can use other databases as well, but we are looking at only entry. Unfortunately, Easy Proxy doesn't capture the referral URL, means it doesn't know where they come from. But some databases give us a clue, so that's what I'm going to share. So this is a log data. This is where a user came in. This connect session is a starting point. So once you log in, that's where it starts. Then it logs. So it looks like very weird. Maybe it is a machine language there. So this is an entry point. That's an easy proxy system and connect. And the rest, I have no idea what it is. Of course, I don't have to get rid of them, but it is difficult for me to visualize what they are. So I stripped it off. I didn't do it, someone did it. And then this is the article. Who did it? Nakil did it. You know who he is, I guess. And actually, this picture is taken during COVID. We did once in a while with the friends a Zoom karaoke, sing along. So let's look at our undergrad students. Undergrad students were dropping since 2014 down to 2019 and then gained. So actually this year, 2 years ago is greater than 10 years ago. I'm not sure about this year, but this is the data I could get at the moment. On the other hand, grad students number keeps dropping, except increase a little bit during COVID. So this number actually 15% less than 10 years ago. Same as faculty. So faculty number keeps dropping. And so this is actually 15% less than 10 years ago. Okay, total proxy entries. So Wing grabbed that line with connect and session. So it was at the highest point, 350,000 lines, down to roughly 120,000 lines. So there must be some reasons. Our biggest user is actually faculty. So since they dropped, it drops, but it is more than what they are dropping. So there must be some explanation. At first, I was a little bit dismayed, but I presented this one to the library, and one person, later I'm going to share who that person is, pointed out something's weird. That actually makes this. So I'm going to share it at the end. So here's a faculty. When I say faculty, the number I showed is the faculty, probably the faculty status people. But actually, when we enter our data into our system, it is FS, which means the faculty and staff. So it includes both faculty members and then researchers and staff. There's no way we can differentiate. So I just use it as a faculty, but see it as a greater picture, faculty and researcher as well. And their use is dropping, as you see, quite significantly. And undergrads, interestingly, it increases. So that's a really good sign. As their number increases, it increases. Grad students is kind of decreased, but probably the amount of the decrease of our grad students number. So let's look at undergrad students and where they were. So this is a number of students, and this is the entry counts. So I looked at first by hour. So in general, they use it during the daytime, and they came to us as well as at night. And during COVID, I was expecting a little bit of a more chaotic way of things, but they were very similar. Their pattern is very similar. So during even COVID, they behaved very similarly. So it is after COVID. So the pattern is very similar. Let's look at on campus or off campus, where they're coming from. So first, before COVID, so if you look at here on campus, they were here during the daytime, used the most, but their off-campus activity at night is greater than on campus, actually. Are we ready for this? We do not really have this service. At one point, I think, Gwen, correct me if I'm wrong, we had remote library, right? Am I right? There was one person who is helping.
I think we had chat in the evenings at some point in time, but now it ends at 5.
We don't really have a service for this school. Now look at during COVID. So we were here on campus is a little, still there was some use because we opened the first floor to students only. And then this is off campus. So they were there. Interestingly, after COVID, the on-campus activities really beyond the COVID level, but off-campus is still very big. So unless I see it as a side-by-side, I cannot see a really clear picture. So I picked February, April, September, and October. Those are the months that we are being used the most. So if you look at before COVID, at the beginning, it's very similar, a little more on-campus activities, 2017, but 18, it's getting more off-campus activities. Of course, we have way more during COVID, but look at this. Our students are taking a lot of, online courses, right? So that reflects here. So they are approaching us a lot off campus, more than online. On campus. Are we ready for this? I don't know. We are not ready. So it reflects a lot of their own behavior right here. Now let's look at our grad students. They are quite different from our undergrad students. So this is our population, grad student population, and there was a bump in 2021. And proxy, the interesting thing is there was increase over here, but there's a decrease here. So I don't know. Then their activities are similar to our undergrad, and it gets further down. Let's look at on-campus or off-campus activities. The on-campus activities is way smaller than off-campus activities. So our grad students, interestingly, I thought the opposite, but they come to us off-campus more than any other group. It is like that. So during COVID, of course, this is expected. Then let's look at now. Yeah. they are not as close as before. So let's look at them by each month, side by side. Even before COVID, they came to us more greater than off-campus than on-campus. Then 20 and 21, of course, this is expected. And look at this. So they really on-campus activity dropped. The reason I didn't show you the total here, because of illusion, looks like this is greater than this part. You have to actually imaginary addition between these two to compare this. So that's when the total is helpful. Actually, it is more. Yeah. Now let's look at our faculty, most exciting and interesting. So their number drops, and as well as their usage. So they have very typical pattern, but except they have they probably eat lunch at 12, but their night activity is much smaller than our students. COVID, after COVID. So the patterns are very similar, but it dropped quite a bit. Now let's look at on campus and off campus. Yeah, they really were here a lot before COVID. They still work a lot at home, evenly spread. Let's look at COVID. This is expected. Now, out of COVID, their on-campus activities actually is very similar to COVID. And here they are in between somewhere, but probably it will be great to look at by side like this. So before COVID, they work more on campus. And this is interesting. So after COVID, they really work a lot at home. And as you know, almost half of their courses are done online. That's another reason probably. So by looking at this, are we really helping our students, the ones who are coming to us off campus? I don't know, and I don't think so. But how to reach out to them can be our next step to help out. Now I want to share you what resources they are using, how they are using it. Actually, we make a lot of decisions on our library, and users are affected by it. Of course, they don't know what we are deciding or anything, but clearly they are being affected. So there are a few things I want to share. So we used the library system called Voyager from 2000 through 2019. So for 2 decades. Yeah, Voyager is a great system, but it doesn't do certain things well. So 2013, we added a discovery layer called Primo, and we called it OneSearch, and we used it until 2019. So they both had Voyager retired at the end of 2019, and we moved into Alma 2020. So the system we are using is Alma, and discovery layer Primo was already being used by us. So we upgraded to Primo VE. Honestly, I do not know the difference between Primo and Primo VE that well, but I know that we are using Central Index, I think. So that opens up a lot of possibilities. So users can get to the articles much efficiently than before. And it is obvious through the data. And library page today is like this. I like this flower. It's great. And so this is a discovery layer. That's a OneSearch. This is a Primo VE. And we have A to Z data list right here. And we have a journal, a link here. Actually, it goes to the OneSearch, but it searches only journals. So I call it browsing function. let's go back to, I don't know when this is, maybe a few years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, anybody can tell? So this is a legacy library page, retired at the end of 2017. So if you look at here, this is still we use the OneSearch. And there was a link called selected resources. Maybe Gwen or Carolyn can answer. I don't know who puts these databases in here into this selected resources. Anybody knows?
I think the Public Services Chairs committee decided what goes into that list, and then at some point they decided, why are we highlighting certain things? And, so we just decided to stop doing it.
Yeah, when I shared it with another school, and they said, oh, they fight a lot over this, so they also removed it. And I was curious, art store? Okay, anyway, so I want you to pay attention to this EBSCO, Academic Search Complete, and PubMed, and Web of Science, because it gives a really interesting insight later. And the database link was hidden right here, but it was here. Okay, again, 2020, the OneSearch Primo BE was introduced, and I think it does its job pretty well. And A to Z data list is much more prominent here, and then journal link here. I don't know. Let's look at how many people are actually using this. So discovery layer versus A to Z list versus journal link. Okay. So this is obvious. When you click database link, then you have to click where you want to go, and then you have to click again. So many clicks. And if you click this one, it takes us back into the OneSearch, but it searches a journal specifically. Okay, is there a clue that it gives? Science Direct was great, that I learned a lot. So actually, as you look at your data, the longer, you find a lot of interesting things. Okay, this particular title, whatever that is, it is accessed from discovery layer. And it shows here, when you click available online, and it takes to Elsevier, when you click that one, then you will be asked to log in. So as long as it is showing with the connect, I know for sure it came from our discovery layer. Then it looks like this. Again, all this debris is gone. Then it takes you to here, and it says article. So the patrons probably doesn't care he's looking for article or not when he searched it. And if you go back here, hey, I'm sorry. It says article right here, right? But he probably doesn't know. And no matter what, he is getting to an article. And it is in Science Direct. And this is our log. So I know for sure if I see that one, it is coming from the discovery layer. Okay, now let's go to journal level. So Icarus. Okay, I typed Icarus, and it gives me this information. So I clicked here. And of course, I went through the proxy. I just didn't show it here. Then it logs, again, this connect section, blah, blah, blah. And actually, this is the ISSN number for the Icarus. And if I click open it, it is right here. And it says journal. So somebody may ask, if I search this Icarus in a general, the all search, it really doesn't show at the beginning. So I know for sure, I think almost 100% sure this person coming through that journal. Okay, let's look at database. So when somebody clicked the database, actually Science Direct is not really database in a sense, but it is still there because we had a Science Direct a long time ago, full coverage. So when you click this one, again, it has a lot of things, but so whoever gets through science database, all we get in the log is this. So I know for sure this coming through the ScienceDirect database link. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, now the numbers. First, article level. So it came through the discovery layer. It is like this. Okay, good. Journal level. As you see, it drops. So as our browsing, physical browsing of journals are almost dropping, online browsing is also dropping because I think they can get to what they want from discovery layer. It is getting less and less. Now look at database level. And somebody has to know that ScienceDirect is in the database. It is even further. Do you remember back in 2000? Oh, ScienceDirect was not in that selected list anyway. It drops. So I wonder, when I teach my class, do I really want to tell them you can find ScienceDirect in database? It is because whatever they search, they will get to the ScienceDirect anyway, and then they can search from there. So just my thought. Then I want to show you Wiley, because Wiley doesn't have a link in the database, so I cannot know it. But Wiley has, we bought that file back in 2020 because with that COVID money. So you see the increase is great. So I hope it keeps increasing. But again, Wiley journal level search is dropping. So I want to show you what platform faculty use the most. The reason I'm using the platform, because some of them are not really databases. So if you look at here, PubMed, ProQuest, and blah, blah, blah. When I showed this one to the library staff, I omitted one particular database. Of course, one of the person in the audience was Clem. Clem spent a lot of money, of course, buying all back files. And he says, where's the JSTOR? So that must be some. JSTOR, interestingly, logged up until 2019. And suddenly, logging was not captured. So almost non-existent afterwards. So I talked to Wing about this several times, and we also tested. So I went home and I logged into JSTOR, and the following morning, we looked at the log data. It was not logged. So we still don't know why it is not being logged. That doesn't mean that our usage is not being logged. JSTOR logs. So yeah, our usage of JSTOR is there. Simply this logging process is missing. So actually, because of this, that affected our overall usage. Probably it is because JSTOR use is greater than 20,000. That's a huge number. So I will show you at the end. But I want this. Do you like this graph? I like it, but it is really deceiving. I have no idea. I have to compare really, have to pay attention to, it is decreasing. So this is not good graph. This is better. So I want you to pay attention to these: PubMed, EBSCO, and Web of Science. Do you remember? These are three things I want you to pay attention. So this particular thing, selected resources, actually retired at the end of 2017, and then it keeps dropping because it was not there. So is it a good thing to get rid of this or not? I have no idea. It will be a good test if I want to go back. But definitely removing this selected resources affected patrons' usage. This is sad though. Web of Science, we spend quite a bit of money. Okay. And let's look at something else. This time, ProQuest. It is right there. And Springer is there. And Wiley is increasing. And let's look at, okay, so discovery layer, and we can learn some of them. And I showed you Science Direct. There's another thing, ProQuest ebooks, because we buy a lot of books through eBook Central. So anything we are looking at eBook Central books, it coming from one search. So for sure. And other ProQuest products like dissertation and what other ProQuest products? Dissertation is one thing I can remember. That can be coming from discovery layer or a database. It's not clear, but I can know the differences. So let's look at. So I'm going to show that one with the grad students platform. So grad students, ProQuest is the largest. Why do you think it is? Because they probably read a lot of ebooks comparing to faculty members. And again, I will show you this way. Here is a clinical access medicine and clinical key. These are the critical sources for medical school students. And our medical students are grad student status, so that's why it is being used a lot. And let's go to ProQuest ebooks. So this yellow is the ProQuest ebooks. Of course, it is increasing. It is because we are buying more ebooks. And this part is either ebook, through discovery layer or database. So these yellow all came through discovery layer. And this one, I will show this one. So among 1982, so 1,000, close to 2,000, a little over 1,100 are from database, and the rest actually from discovery layer. So discovery layer is being used a lot. So I think we probably give more time to explain discovery layer in detail. So article level versus journal, I'm just showing you two. They are very similar pattern. So this is article level, and their journal level is also decreasing a lot. And same as Wiley. The Wiley increased, and then maybe the student number is dropping. That's why it's dropping. But it is nice to see that our investment is being paid off. Okay, now let's go to undergrad students. And again, their ProQuest is used a lot because of ebooks, I think, and then EBSCO as well. So this is a little sad part. EBSCO is being used less because it is not upfront. But EBSCO, another downside of EBSCO is, I don't know, still is true. EBSCO is not indexed by central index in discovery layer. So let's look at these two first, and then we look at the rest. So database versus discovery. Again, this is a ProQuest ebooks. See, it's interesting. They are reading a lot of ebooks comparing to faculty members. And then here is the database level. And some of them are from discovery layer as well. And EBSCO, 2017 was the largest. Of course, it is because in the selected resources. And it drops. And if you look at here, actually to this close to 13,000 entries, a little over 3,400 is coming from Primo. This is a discovery layer. And the rest are coming from database. So they actually clicked database and then clicked academic search complete, and then they did it. So this is a little sad part that removing that EBSCO affected our users' behavior. And so the rest, let's look at, again, see, look at the JSTOR and boom. Canopy is a video service. It's a very expensive service that actually we are not buying the video. We are actually paying for the semester. Am I right? I think so. So 2020, because during the COVID, it is being used a lot and faculty members really likes it. So we spend a lot of money on this. Not only that, Films on Demand, also Alexander Street, these are all video service. And so we learned that video is being used a lot during COVID. Okay, next. So ebooks. When you search ebooks, they have all different looks. So you have to search with book, e-library, blah, blah, blah. And look at it. So this is not only ebook central, but other services as well. The undergrads are steadily increase their use. Undergrad is also increasing. Interestingly, faculty members doesn't like much about. Oh well, still they are high use, but not as much as undergrad or graduate. It's like that. And let me see. Okay, I have 90 minutes. So there was an accidental finding. It was really interesting. Since I'm a science librarian, I'm in charge of at the time chemistry. I got email from Lorianne. Hi Jen, it is I think at the end of 2022. We have to renew this Cambridge structural database for 2023. The price was close to 6,000. So it says a 12% increase from 2022. Any increase over 6%, I don't like it. So I asked her, do you have statistics, user statistics? The answer was, oh, I'm sorry, they do not provide the usage statistics. Okay, what kind of service that is? So I asked a librarian in my department, does anybody ever used this database? No, nobody. Then when and how did we start this? So I was curious because I was not in the department when it started. Lorian gave me an answer after a free trial in 2013. So I wondered what does really free trial mean? Then we started paid subscription from 2014. So good 9 years. I think it started less than 1,000, but over the years it became 6,000. Who knows? It maybe now more than 10,000. So then, because this particular database is something that, as I said, once you log into our system, you don't have to log in again, except only, I believe, two. One is SciFinder. Even though you already logged in order to use a SciFinder, you have to log in again. And this database, Cambridge Structural Database, also you have to log in again. That means I will have a record. Ta-da! So 2017, there were only 5 entries, 11. So sad, isn't it? So I cut it, of course. I have never got any complaints from anybody. And finally, I want to talk about why there was a decline of our access. So JSTOR, as I told you, it steadily increased and then no log. So we really have to get rid of it from our data, the earlier ones. And also, affiliate is, as I said, researchers. Somehow I don't know, during COVID, they stopped coming or anything. The entry level is so dropped. So it is kind of beyond explanation. So I stripped those numbers from overall. So this was our overall data. Once we remove the JSTOR from here, it becomes like this, a still decrease. But if, again, I dropped that affiliates use, then it's a very comparable. I felt really good. And so that's, I won't talk about Milk Tank. So, hey, I am at 44. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Jan. That was fascinating information. So Does anybody have any questions? You can either unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can put it into the chat.
I see a very familiar face. Lele, hi. No question? Okay, then I want to show one thing for now.
How are you, Plele? You look good.
Why not? Look good. It's the thing.
Did you do your morning swimming?
I've been recovering from blah, 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 blah. So mostly, sleeping in the morning, but then playing in my pool every day. So that's good.
We do have a question in the chat. Dongyun asks, do you know why faculty don't use ebooks?
I don't know, but they probably use more. I put this way, still it's not small number, 17,000 and stuff, but they probably use more journals for their research.
Jan, what else would you like to analyze that you have not had time to work on yet? Like what are some additional research avenues that you have identified from this research?
Oh, well, if I keep looking, I see the things, but at this point, as you know, I may probably stop looking. And yeah. But how about you? What do you want to see more? What?
I think that one of the most interesting things to me is you're sort of hinting that when we changed from having that list of
Mhm.
of suggested resources or top resources or whatever, and just got rid of any sort of recommender function on our website, that it seemed to affect the use of the resources. So I think, the research about how we recommend resources, whether it's through the website, whether it's through an instruction session, a LibGuide, or whatever, would be really interesting, but probably very involved. So I'm not sure who's going to do that research.
Yeah, it was the Air Force or something, that library, they had a similar problem. So some people want to put some database in there, some don't, so they always fight. So ending up not putting any. So yeah, that would be interesting. What can be put in there? Okay, no question. Then I'm sorry to, well, bother you with lots of numbers.
Thank you, Jan, for that really fascinating deep dive into the easy proxy data. And I really appreciate your taking the time to put this presentation together for next steps. The recording will be posted on the HLA YouTube channel in a week or so, I'm guessing, and we'll send out an announcement when that happens. And so you're welcome to share with other people who might be interested. So thank you very much, and thanks to everyone for attending.